Well, welcome back into the orchards here in the mid-Norfolk farm. I've never known a year quite like this for colour on Bramley seedlings apples. They look like eating apples, don't they? Rosy red, full glow on them. Absolutely spectacular. But I'm not entirely certain whether that's a positive or negative thing in terms of the storage of this fruit. This is quite a young tree, having said that, and it's not carrying a particularly heavy fruiting load this year, which is probably why these have grown so well and ripened so nicely. It's also a part and parcel of the season. We've just had one of the hottest, driest and warmest summers on record. This growing just next to it is an identical variety Bramley seedling. A little older, this one, probably been in another 3 or 4 years. Arched form, quite naturally forming due to the weight of the apple crop over the years, and again a very heavy crop this year. What I thought earlier in the season around June and July was going to be a really disappointing crop of small and really uninspiring looking apples has really caught up with the rain that we've had here over the last couple of weeks, and these are still looking very good. We're starting to get some drop now, and that's usually a sign that they're probably approaching the time to put some of these into storage. And we're going to do a video on how you select good quality apples for storage, what the best ones to select are from the choice you're going to have, whether you should be going for those rosy red ones or the bright green ones. And if you just look at the variety we've got here on the front, that's more a typical well-ripened Bramley. But coming round onto the north side of this tree, we've got more typical green, just with that little blush line. It's far more typical of an average Bramley in an average season. And my suspicion is that these green apples may store for a longer period of time than those rosy red ones we showed you at the beginning of this video. And that's because the sugar levels in these is probably going to be lower, certainly on the surface areas. And the skin's probably going to be a little thicker on these, and that waxy covering that's going to form and protect these throughout a period of storage through to around February, if we're really lucky in cold storage, may mean that these are going to be my preferential ones for storing rather than those rosy green ones, the rosy red ones, which we'll probably use first. They'll eat very well now because they'll have a higher level of sugar, certainly in the skin, which we tend to cook on rather than peeling this fruit. This is, as I say, a tree that's probably been in place around 6 years and gives you an indication of the volume of fruit you can expect off quite a young tree. Compare what we've just shown you to this probably 30-year-old tree. Plenty of fruit. Smaller though, hasn't had a good June drop, this one at all. Heavy crop, medium-sized apples, probably very little on here that's going to be picked for storage, and most of this probably going to end up on the floor or given away, to be fair. And one of our mature, possibly 100-year-old apple trees, same variety, probably a Bramley original as opposed to a Bramley seedling. This is always one of our most reliable fruiting trees. Beautiful arched form, been pruned fantastically over the years by the previous gardeners here. An element of it, you've got some dieback on here, tiny little reminiscent fruit, but it's also carrying a great crop again of extremely well coloured, decent size apples. Still small in part, but there's some good fruit on here which we should be able to pick and store. So we will be doing a video on that, showing you how to collect these. Final tree you can see just coming up in the distance, probably got some of the best fruit on of all this year. This tree wasn't pruned last year, and you can see those long upright growths at the top that really do need to be cut back to the joints. But just look at some of the fruit on here. Again, heavily coloured like that first smaller tree, but some absolutely cracking size apples on here. Just let me put my hand in there for scale. Probably almost a pound in weight, that fruit. So some good apples to look forward to picking, and we'll be showing you exactly which ones to select, how to handle them and how to store them to give you waxy stored Bramley apples right the way through to February 2023.